Last time on the Adventures of Gaia. After disabling internal surveillance, we worked our way through a maintenance hallway that showed alien signs of an ancient battle. There was something vaguely reminiscent about those marks. We proceeded then to a chamber that held a woman named Nadra. She was chained to the wall with odd cuffs that seemed to be turning her skin black. She explained she had come to investigate the darkness, rumored to be in this ancient city, only to be captured and made a sacrifice by the infected. After freeing her, we encountered what she called Gaia constructs, strange sprites of Gaia. But they were also infected with that black goo. With some quick spell work, we dispatched them, and Nadra took the lead as we moved deeper in this ancient city of Akeen, on the hunt for answers regarding the Dark One. I can't help but feel the deeper I get into this mystery, the more something is watching me.
Nadra peeks back from around the corner. Coming?
Pryo stalks after her. Says, I'm here looking for clues about something called the Dark One. Do you know anything about this?
Sadly, yes. Somewhat. Before I answer, can I ask why?
Pryo takes out his mask and hood, and she can see the white scar now.
Her eyes linger on it for the briefest of seconds. I ask because people seek that information for a variety of reasons.
I understand. I seek it because I've been told I've been cursed by it.
Don't believe in that. A curse? No. As long as you don't let darkness be part of you, there's no such thing. As you're walking, she's actually looking quite carefully and being careful in a lot of ways that mirror your own system of moving forward. You're making your way down this long, long hallway.
I'll probably head up between the two and say, hey, just kind of introduce myself. So, wow, cool, good job. I'm glad you found a new companion. Welcome to the team. I'm Shooter. You can call me Shooter. So hopefully he didn't scare you when he made you cut yourself.
What?
When you cut yourself. Hello? I look at Pryo. Hello?
She starts to slow down and pull just slightly away from you guys.
Pryo shakes his head. Shooter here is a little bit worried that you might have some of that black goo in you. I don't see any reason to think that, though. He looks at Danus.
Oh, I didn't see any reason to think the robots had black goo or those.
She flips the knife over. She just pricks the end of her thumb. You see a pool of pinky blood pool up.
Oh, cool. They handled it well.
She puts her hand over her thumb, and when she takes it away, the pinprick is gone. The cut's gone. There's just the slightest glow. Makes sense. I understand.
I've been told that the Dark One is hunting me, so I'm hunting it. Perhaps I can find it before it finds me.
She seems about to say something and then stops. She looks down the hallway. Well, I have a million questions I could ask you. But I suspect...
I don't know if I have time for a million questions.
She smiles. Seems we're coming to a decision. All right, you're coming down this hallway, and you see ahead of you another archway with a similar feel. The metal looks as if it's been bent and remolded rather than the actual, what you feel would be natural to Gaia. You can see there's been bending and tamping. And you see a few more of those shots that you had witnessed at the earlier tunnel.
Pryo investigates that a little more closely. I'm pretty sure I know whom. Or have an
Really?
idea.
Well, then I have 1,000,001 questions to ask you. Right or left would be the first.
Okay, I check the tracks and the signs with my dices.
Okay, roll them dice.
I rolled a 6. That is a critical.
Wow! You look around, you see tracks going in either direction. There's been much more, although it's not dirt dragged in as much because you're quite a distance from that initial entryway from the Badlands. You peek down and you do see near the ceiling there are some holes up top every 20 feet or so.
Don't like to look at those. It's for the robot spiders.
Natra looks up. That's where the constructs come from.
Yeah. What runs those constructs?
Well, if they were healthy, Gaia, of course. But they've been infected. That black goo, as you saw.
What is that black goo in relation to this dark one?
Well, one and the same. Left. She turns.
Okay, follows.
Nah, there's those certain character types that Pryo just is a sucker for. You know, I'm starting to get his number, if you know what I'm saying. No, I'll hang out with Zdeno and see if they're gonna, I don't know, run if we're all gonna die, or just kind of be next to him.
+1 for a character assessment of your fellow travelers.
He's the type of guy that pulls the sandbag, lets the door fall, and traps us. You know what I mean? Like that. The treasure is mine. Like he's that guy.
Zdeno, quick to jump, and as you suspect, there's been a few little noises that go off, and he pulls back as if you could take the hit rather than him. He laughs when you notice. He's like, I don't have a gun, so you're getting 10% more. Seems fair. Also, you're splitting with her. She's not taking any of mine.
I get real close to him, right? I get real close to him and say, I never wanted any of the treasure.
Well, great.
And I like I shake my head like,
Great. Can I have your half?
Then I just walk away, like with my hands, like this guy's not really got it together.
All right, you've turned to the left, following Nadra. She keeps her eyes on the little construct holes, as she called the spiders. And you come to the corner as you peek around. A set of double doors off to the most immediate left. The hallway goes on for some time. You hear echoing coming up through that long hallway.
Pryo doesn't like it much. What kind of footfalls do we have through this door? What kind of signs?
Nadra, she's watching you look. I'm positive they've moved throughout this entire complex.
Where do they make the sacrifices?
In the main throne room.
And who is they, anyway? How many more do we have to face? Humanoids or robots?
It's impossible to tell. It depends how many sacrifices were made and how many willing subjects there are.
The sacrifices become the servants of this dark force?
Some are consumed, as you saw above. All depends what's in your heart.
Huh.
You notice her arms. She rubs them every so often. You see some glowing light come up, and slowly but surely that blackness is disappearing. You hear Zdeno behind and Danus having a conversation about treasure. Danus seems to be catching up to you a little bit as he's left. Zdeno's pulled back just a touch and given a little more room between the rest of the party and himself.
Pryo will stalk up to those double doors and see what they're about.
You see one is mostly ajar and the other one is slightly, so you can see in the room. It looks to be some crates from what you can see. You listen, roll detective.
28, critical success.
You don't hear any noise coming from that room.
Opens the door slightly and goes in.
Nadra's close behind. Danus, you're right with this group. You see a large library of sorts. There's shelves that go up at least 2, if not 3 stories. There's ladders going up to different areas that would wheel along. You see books. Most of the books look like they're ready to fall apart if you touch them. There are Gaia pads as well. In the center of the room, there's some large cabinets with drawers and a tabletop over top of them. You see strewn about pads and scrolls.
Pryo goes, He starts looking for any information about this dark one, about the darkness or the black goo. Is there all about black goo? Like, is there any books on black goo or anything like that?
Goo for you!
Oh, goo for dummies.
But you start moving around in this room. You find some odd pads. You don't find anything that's labeled, per se. You do have a few pads that when you do tap them, quite a few don't even come on. But there's a few that come on and you'll see details of shipping routes, details of different lands. You find a few old tomes, but they're quite well preserved.
May I go pick up one of these, wow, what happened to my voice? One of these pads that are dead or not working and start fooling around with, because it's an older pad, you said, right?
Yes, quite ancient. However, it's still
fantastic. Yeah, if I'd like to, I want to get one up so I can maybe turn it on, figure out how to mess with it. If it's still connected to a system, then we're in for a good ride. So
you find quite a few pads that are dead, but you find one that has some quite beautiful inlays on the back of the pad. It's got a symbol all interlaced with a scroll of an E. You turn it over, you start playing with it. Please roll Tinker.
And that's a no. No, okay, no, it's a 39. Okay, well, it's okay. My heart sunk.
You actually find a chair and just sit down and start playing, picking around with it. You find a few interesting crystals inside that you hadn't seen before, and some different ways of putting things together, given the ancientness of this technology, and quite foreign to the way you've been taught. However you finally see the little flicker of life come to the board, the motherboard, so to speak, at the back, and you flip it over and some text starts coming up.
Oh, my goodness, it's so beautiful. What's it say?
The screen comes up before you, and there's a very familiar G that starts to spin in front, and then the text comes up. There seems to be a log. There's quite a few different entries, but mostly the thing that's not corrupted, because it is such an old device, is the last few entries on the history of the Kingdom of Akeen, which seems to be what this place was called. There's some record of some festivals and record of some great fights and a few of the heroes of Akeen. You go to the end. Seems to be a good place to start, given if this is the kingdom, it seems to have fallen. You find an entry. We were once a great people with a far-reaching influence, and our king had discovered the greatest source of power. He'd discovered the entrance into Gaia herself. We knew we could harness enough energy and we would grow great. And we thrived and built more. But it wasn't enough for our once great king. he began to worry that he wouldn't be famous enough, that he couldn't conquer more. And he grew despondent, claiming his pod didn't bring him rest anymore. So he ordered more and more citizens out searching and harvesting for other sources of power. And then one day, a scholar came to him, claiming they had knowledge of the greatest power there was. And they retreated to his chambers, and they spoke for cycles and cycles. And then, when the king came out alone, he seemingly had found peace and focus. And he ordered a great, great temple built and put focus on constructing a device which would give him what he said was everything he wanted. That's the last entry.
Okay, Danus is a slow reader, so turn over to everyone else as, okay, the king invited him into his chamber. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wait, with the finger. The king, yeah, you got it.
Okay. Pryo.
Book on snails. What the? No, not this one.
Sadly, you
Plus
find
one.
nothing. Sadly, you don't find any books on the Dark One or anything on darkness. You do find a book that Nadra has brought over. It's quite a thin tome. She opens it up. This is probably the only thing you're going to find close.
Oh.
It's a small treatise on entropy.
On entropy?
She goes, of course. She looks at you like, you just asked her how to walk.
Okay, Pryo kind of looks at her and looks at it, and it's going to take a little while to read. You can't just sit here and read it here, right?
Right. Contrary to what Danus seems to be assuming as he's at a book.
Well, you
he's
can
got
read a
book.
passage here or there, but if it's like a 100-page book or whatever, I'm going to have to read the whole thing.
It seems it's one of those, it came from the University of Shard. It's quite a long philosophic treatise.
I see.
By the renowned Professor Bemidji of Shard University. If someone could write a book on the most, as you just start thumbing through what seems to you to be, and I'm going to make an assumption about Pryo, quite a terrifying subject of the decay and destruction of all life and the end of all things. If you could take that horrifying subject and make it dry and boring with diagrams, but they're just like Venn diagrams, you have now discovered your perfect book.
I see. All right then. Professor Bemidji and Shard, huh? Okay. He puts that bag in his pack. He goes, how does this relate to the darkness?
She said, she kind of leans over and looks out the door. You notice Zdeno has paced back and forth a few times, looked in. It doesn't seem like he wants to go off on his own, but books are not the treasure that this gentleman is looking for.
Good, I don't feel like sharing them with him.
There are thousands of books in this room, as I said. You could easily share them between quite a group of people. However, he came in briefly, looked around. He picked up a few books that had a bit of a glint to them, looked through. There's one he pulled the cover off of, the defacer of text that he is, and put that in his bag. He was, and that was all he seems to have done. She looks, perhaps when we're finished here, you and I could have a long talk. But don't let that black ooze touch you, or you will completely understand what, she rubs her wrists, what it means.
Keep that in mind.
This is an amazing repository, but eventually someone will come looking for where I was. I think, given what I've picked up just coming through here, I think our best move is to try to find wherever the source of all the power of this kingdom truly is. Okay, suddenly Zdeno's almost beside you. Yeah, let's get going. Whatever's important, we'll have the treasure.
Did Danus read that passage out loud?
Oh.
You did hear about some kind of traveler or scholar or something, and then the ending about the order to build some kind of device.
I say, hey, Danus, keep that pad. I'm going to look at it later, okay?
Yeah, sure.
But do you think this device could be the source of power you're talking about, Nadra?
She leans over Danus's shoulder and reads, which seems like very quickly, Danus. You're a little annoyed. She goes, it would definitely be a good place to start. If that's the source of the power here, if that was the thing they built, I'm looking for the thing that brought this kingdom down.
Well, it did seem to be the last passage.
A bit ominous, but promising. She smiles. She turns, she spins again. Okay, Zdeno. Finally, let's go. Books.
All right, Pryo follows Nadra.
Ooh, we're moving. All right, so I stand up and there were multiple pads in the room, right? But I just grabbed one. Okay,
Yeah.
grab another. I don't play with it. I just grab it. I put it underneath the other one, right? And I keep looking at see if this is connected to a network.
You're looking through the pad as you're walking behind. You come out, you're looking through, and you actually come across a map, or an illustration would be a better way to say, of the Kingdom of a King.
Cool.
It shows that the kingdom, which is seems to have been bored, for lack of a better word, or constructed within what was a Gaia construct recycler and storage area where the constructs actually stayed. So there was the main area that you had come in with those side rooms, and then what once went straight ahead and just had two walkways, one of the walkways you were on yourself, and then a large center room was what this facility originally was. It seems the people of Akeem came in and made many more rooms and extended it. Now, if this illustration, again, it's a drawing, but if it's correct, it goes up at least 10, the equivalent of 10 large stories. Yet that center space is still the feature piece, and it is marked as the throne hall.
And that's what we're coming up on?
This is the library. Since Danus is the one looking at it, if this is to scale, that library, as I said, was quite enormous. The hallway goes along, it seems around on both sides. This is the area marked the throne room. These are stairs back here. At the end of each hallway here, there are stairs. They go up 8 stories, and on each level back here are hallways with various living quarters and such at the back of the kingdom. And up each stairway, according to this map, is a bit of a balcony of some sort where you could sit and witness kingly duties. And you seem to be on the first level. What is outlined in blue is the original Gaia structure. Then off each side, there's quite a few other hallways that go off to various other areas. And it seems like they've built, I won't draw them all, but an area about that wide. Kingdom was an appropriate word to use.
Wow.
All right. So you're just come around, you found this, you're looking at it, you're impressed. You can see some records of where they had tunneled off to one area and had to stop because they hit the tubes, the lifeblood of Gaia is what they call it. And that's what they had originally tapped into to gain enough power to run this place. In the drawings that you find, there's lights everywhere. It's quite brilliant and colorful. It looks like it was quite a thriving city once upon a time. And it's interesting as you're looking at this and you just take the pad down for a second to make sure you're not going to trip on something as you're walking, and you just see how old and destroyed things are. And you now realize a lot of those rotting pieces of fabric were the tapestries and the luxuries that were once a great kingdom.
Wow.
Pryo, you're walking ahead. You know that Danus has slowed down quite a bit. You're coming up to another set of doors. You see these doors are open.
Okay, I stop. I turn. I look at Danus. I notice he's looking at this pad.
Looking down, kind of looking around at the rooms and admiring the scenery.
Pryo goes, huh?
Wait, does Pryo just say meh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I probably am not even paying attention at this point. if that's all that Pryo does, I'm like really
Pryo
trying
looks
to
over
get
on the pad.
I'm not even going to make you roll. Danus is clearly intrigued by whatever he is finding.
Yeah, for sure. I'm lost in it. Like imagining, like thinking, like tactically, like okay, where would I put stuff, and like how old is this, and I wonder how accurate. Like the questions are just flooding my mind, and Pryo, and I'm like, okay, so then if they're over here, this is where the robots came from. Okay, this is how far we got to go. Oh my God, how many levels?
Yeah.
Like
the main throne room had under the substructure, under the floor you're on, is where they relocated and stored a bunch of the constructs that were once existing in this throne room. So below the throne room you see a drawing of tons and tons and tons of Gaia constructs, the robots made to take care of Gaia, just lined up. And there's small tubes in the throne room, and that you've seen all along, where they once traveled in and out to do their duties.
So after Pryo is like right over my shoulder, obviously looking at it, then I'm going to kind of realize he's there and say, oh, hey, you got to see this.
Okay, Pryo looks.
So check this out. So this is where we are, right? That, I think they've got this label as a market. This is like the old structure. And, I start pointing things out to, he's obviously going to figure it out himself, but I'm trying to I've been looking at it. So I'm bringing him up to speed and clicking everything and show him, give him the rundown.
Pinch in, zoom out, showing him all the different
things. Yeah. Like, okay, so here's this. And look, underneath is a bunch of old, yeah. That's what I said.
Anything interesting? Other than the throne room here.
What? This pad has survived. Look at this beauty. And I'll flip it around are you? Yeah.
+1, Tinkerer, +1.
Uh-huh. Anyway, anything interesting on the map?
What? It's got the structures. It's got the rooms. It's got... yes? Tons? What are you looking... Are you looking for something? Because... then we might be able to find that common ground.
A little bit of treasure never hurts. But mostly they're looking for this device. Do you think it's the throne room here?
You found a treasure map? Okay, suddenly Zdeno, boom, he's there. What'd you find? Does it show it where it is? Where's the... Oh.
I get uncomfortably close to Zdeno. We've set this precedent where our interactions just aren't very good. So my nose is almost on his cheek.
Okay.
I'm just staring. Yeah.
Every other time he's pulled away from you. However, it seems the mention of a treasure space is making him, in fact, a little bit of drool drops on the pad.
Oh,
look. Okay. So,
these two rooms here look like they were merchant or trading rooms. There could be something left there. They're right here.
But the throne room
right
is
there.
Most likely.
That's it. That's why. Why don't you go check it out? It's right there.
Where the treasure will be.
Hey, whoa! It's also going to be the most guarded. We're going to go there, but we're going to go there all in force. Let's check these two rooms first, and then let's go to the throne room. Agreed?
We've done enough checking.
Zdeno, you hired me for my expertise.
+2. Seems to calm him a bit. You recognize of a being that is really pushing down desires. Fine. Just hurry up.
There could be treasure in these two rooms. They traded them. Look at the map.
Oh,
okay.
Crap.
Pryo walks over in that direction.
Okay, you want to go to the market?
Yep. And then there's another trading room on north of that as well. We can try that out.
It seems the market was more for everyday items such that the Kingdom of Akeen would need and where any type of mercantile exchange happened. The other rooms seem to be more involved in arming or more those type of supplies for the actual kingdom itself.
Again, it being so ancient, even the mundane equipment could be very valuable.
Nadra's waiting. She seems actually fairly calm. She's just keeping an eye. I sense nothing. You want to go to the market?
Zdeno here is looking for treasure. And quite frankly, I could always use some more keepsakes to trade.
All right, but let's not tarry.
I agree.
You head up the hallway and look slightly to the left. You see the doors are completely open here.
I go first, looking for traps. We investigate.
And you look in. You see all around it, there's levels that sort of come out. Think the balconies around theater. That style, quite beautifully molded. And you could look down into the market. There's ancient metal cords that go back and forth. There's just the tiniest scraps of fabric hanging off of them. Danus, when you peek around the corner, you recognize in the drawing there were beautiful heralds and tapestries hanging everywhere. There were lights. The one thing that occurs to you as you're looking at these images, Danus, is that everyone looks quite happy in the early illustrations. As you scrolled further on, they don't seem to have quite as much color in the pictures.
Okay.
Pryo, you come around, you look in. There's what once was a structure that people, merchants or traders would have had little stalls in. That base structure is still there. However, there's nothing left of any types of wooden tables, or, as I said, there's just little shards of fabric.
If there isn't any obvious treasure or ceramic, metal, or rock statues or artwork or anything like that, pottery, I'll remind the GM that Pryo's other sense is the weak nuclear force or radiation. So if I do feel any magic items radiating or any technological items radiating energy, let me know.
You don't find anything necessarily in this room. However, you may both roll a surprise.
Uh-oh.
Oh, man. Okay. No, fail.
You were just
70 is what I got.
You're contemplating the difference in images and the color.
I get a critical success, yes.
Zdeno has started picking through some of the stalls, just randomly throwing stuff around. When both you and Nadra at the same time kind of cock your heads to one side as a being launches itself from beneath what seemed to be just a pile of trash and screams as black goo comes out of its mouth. It is closer to you and Nadra. Danus was still fairly far back near the doorways. However, Danus, you do hear noise coming behind you. Please roll initiative.
Okay.
Right.
It's launched itself. It's in midair as it comes at you. You realize that there is movement too behind it.
So there's stalls around us.
Yep. Danus is standing in the doors.
I see. And he hears people coming down the halls.
Yep. You hear a pained scream. The Darkling is launching itself right at you, and you see movement up behind there as trash and bits of old fabric start moving around, and beings come out. Their skeletons are actually revealed. They seem to be such old corpses, and just black goo is swirling around to give the appearance of a whole contiguous being.
Gross and f***ing awesome. But also gross. But also f***ing awesome. All right. I am going to give this one before me a shield buffet. 587 for initiative.
You may go first.
Okay, I just brace behind the shield and try to smash it in the face with it.
Okay.
I roll 70. That's a critical success. And hopefully the shield's magic. I roll 50 exactly. That's exactly what I needed for the energy attack.
You rush at it. The Darkling moves quite quickly, much faster than you expect it to move. However, you still clip it as it tries to get out of your way. The lightning crackles over your shield.
The blunt force damage of Pryo's superhuman strength is 750 points.
You hit it with your full force and smash it. You hear a squelching, disgusting noise as it hits. You actually see black goo start to wrap around your shield a bit. The energy, however, goes off, and the black goo it retreats slightly as there's a horrible cracking of all the bones inside this creature breaking, and it gets pushed back. You hear as you feel the coldness on the shield. You know it's left some of its black ichor behind.
As I've kind of rushed in that direction, do I see the three to the south that are climbing out?
Yep, they're climbing kind of over the edges and over the walls. You see one creature that had a skeleton, had a big horn that came out, and the black ooze is swirling all around it.
Crazy. It's
the closest one.
And I'm going to try and I'm going to throw my shield.
Oh, okay.
And I'm going to try and bounce it off of as many of those assholes as possible.
What's your trigonometry?
It's 265.
Furthest away is not quite in line, as the other ones are climbing up over. You could definitely hit the first two. The third one would be difficult, as it seems to be trying to head around the corner.
I'll just try the first two then. Pryo growls at the grossness of this coldness on his shield. And he realizes, well, I might as well throw it. I don't want to sit over near me. All right, 21. That is a critical success on 265.
Fabulous. You throw it. The shield goes flying. It hits the first one and cleaves that head with that horn off. You see the black ichor as it squeals, trying to reassemble a head such that it was, yet it all seems to just slowly fall out as the being slumps down. The second creature actually ducks down as its limbs dislocate, and it comes up into almost into an insect or four-legged creature and starts running around as opposed to going up and over as it originally indicated.
Ew. Also cool. But ew. But cool. Okay, I sheath my kukri.
They're moving quite quickly, particularly the one that's unhinged its limbs and is crawling after you as they squeal. Danus, you hear noise coming from this direction, from down the hallway.
I will gently put the pads down. I will pull out my loving nano pistol.
You summon it with your mind and it assembles in your hand.
And I will wait.
Nadra screams. In a language that actually doesn't make sense. Of course, most Gaia language is translated if you hear it enough, but she says some squealing almost too high for your ears to tolerate uncomfortably, and a huge beam of bright white, glowing pink energy comes out of her and shoots straight towards the beings. Pryo, you either have to cover your eyes and duck, so to roll a dodge, or you feel that it will actually damage your vision.
I get 82. That's a critical on dodge. He spins the cloak around his head, Batman style.
As you spin around, you just see her reaching out as her hair starts to fly behind her. And there's a giant flash of light. You feel that light up behind you, Danus. You hear, and then there's just a squealing unnatural of what you assume are the Darklings. When you turn back around, there's nothing left of them, not even bones.
Oh,
However, coming down this hallway, Danus hears the footfall of many, many beings.
Well, we know what happened with the townsfolk.
Danus, you take aim and assess the situation. Roll PR.
Just a success.
Okay. You feel, given the speed with which these creatures are moving, you could probably get off a few shots to the ones at the very front of the mob. However, you are concerned with how many seem to be moving and squealing. The noise is indicating that there's more than you could possibly shoot at once.
Fantastic. That's what I like to hear. So what I'm going to do is we're in action mode now. So
yes.
I stop looking at them.
Okay.
Right? And I blind fire. I empty my clip. I blind fire as I pick up the pads with my other hand.
All right.
Firing. And I'm picking them up and I'm running toward the rest of the group.
Pryo, because you had turned and had your cloak over you, and then you peek back to see those creatures that have been incinerated by Nadra, you are fully facing Danus and see as he's unloading a clip down the hallway and picking up his precious pads. What's your damage with your pistol?
With a critical, it's 130, but
130.
Normally it's 65.
Okay, you unload your clip, just when you hear screaming and squelching as you know you've hit quite a few.
Yeah, I'm going full speed into that room, past the team.
Okay.
And getting to the back.
Okay, when he runs in,
He's pulling back, yep.
back of the room, everyone. And I follow my friend's lead. There's no doors in the back of the room, right? We want to put our backs on solid metal.
You have seen those little tunnels for the spider bots, and there are tunnels in these rooms as well.
Do we have 10 to 15 feet of solid metal wall that we could put our backs up against? Or how well constructed are the stalls right now?
The base of them is metal.
I say, everyone to that stall. There, go, 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 go.
Okay, everyone starts running back. Zdeno, yep, he runs gets back there as well quite quickly. As you're coming down, you hear the squealing and screaming of the Darklings, and you start to see the first of them come around the corner. You have a round before they breach your door.
Then when we get to the stall, I make a force field.
Ah, okay.
Essentially like a long tube.
All right.
Can I make it 50 meters long? The width of our stall. It has a sloped roof, so they can't stand on it.
All right.
And it goes right back, so it's essentially half a cylinder.
I see.
They have to come in the front there, right where my friend Danus is going to be shooting his SMG.
That's you already know it.
So I roll 59. That is a critical.
All right.
Success.
All right. Do you concentrate? The phoenix takes wings and spreads itself out, and as its wings go out forward, makes an arched sort of alleyway of a force field. And as you do, the Darklings start clamoring. They're ripping at each other as they're squealing and screaming. They come around the corner. They were quite in a bit of decay. These ones, unlike the ones that you fought outside, which passed as quite living, these ones do not look living. They are missing pieces and bits of themselves, and it's just black ichor that's taking the place of where a limb or a head or even a full torso should be. They start, not being brilliant creatures, heading straight down your shooting alley.
So have fun, shooter.
As I'm unloading. What?
Zdeno puts his hands over his broad ears and leans down as it's quite loud. Yep.
All right, let's rock it. Full burst.
Let's rock.
You've been waiting to do this.
Oh, I'm about to use my dice. I'll use the this. This is when the critical fail comes in, right? This is it.
We haven't had one today.
95.
Oh!
95. Wow.
Pick up the gun and smile because you haven't had a chance to fully expend your SMG since you left home, and these things are horrifying, and you just start shooting. It's an alleyway of bullets going down as the black ooze starts flying everywhere. You are, however, keeping them far enough away in that it's not coming too close to you. Nadra beside you starts screaming and not quite nearly as bright, but these balls of that bright white energy start hitting them, and you see as it hits them, you see a sizzling, and they almost imagine film melting on a projection screen, how the black just goes away as it burns it off, and Danus's bullets pierce through the Darklings.
I can keep up this big force field for 10 rounds. It's less than a minute.
All right, the creatures are scrambling over as they're being disintegrated, and as that seemingly burning away, one crawls right through and screams at you. You see it's an eye just kind of floating around in the black ooze. You shoot again. Next round, Danus, could you shoot for me again?
Oh, I got to reload, right?
Yep, roll MR.
Yeah.
Got to roll for MR. 86. Let me double check my mental resistance.
Uh-oh.
No, we're fine.
Okay.
We're fine. No, we're not. Oh, no, I don't reload. It's 86 on a 72.
All right, you haven't done this. You're out, you're shooting.
First time since home.
You're like, my dad could see me now, and that slight errant thought, and suddenly you're out. There's nothing coming out of your gun. The creature's squeal is almost if there's a delight when they realize that something has gone wrong.
You can draw your pistol.
Nadra looks and realizes the firing she's ducked down on the ground as she's shooting, and so that the firing is going on over in her head, and she sees that it's gone, and she stands up and again lets loose this crazy wail and pushes kind of you back a bit, Danus, as this bright white light comes almost right out of her whole torso and fills the whole room with intense burning. You both shield your eyes, and Danus, you bring your weapon up and cover your eyes as you start thinking of a different weapon to bring up quickly, and you smell a freshness, almost not quite ozone, but the freshness of outside, and suddenly there's no screaming. You both uncover your eyes and adjust, and you see the bodies are all completely gone. And Nadra slumps to the ground. She collapses.
Okay, Pryo tries to catch her so she doesn't hit her head.
Please roll.
I roll a 45.
Okay, you launch out and grab her body as it falls.
Do we hear more coming?
No. In fact, all the creatures are gone, and there was black ooze that had been splattered all about. You see a tiny bit of it just worming its way out the door. You hear nothing but quiet and the echo in your ears of a SMG going off.
I drop the force field.
Oh my gosh, we did it.
The black ooze slowly makes its way out the double doors, almost if it's trying to escape.
Nice shooting, shooter. As I...
Seems like the exertion has taken too much out of her. You see that black glass is kind of expanded again on her on her arms.
You still want to look for treasures in Deno?
It would be a waste not to, right?
We have a whole town's worth, a city worth of those things to fight. You sure the treasure's going to be worth it?
Shouldn't be far away now.
Okay, I look at a little piece of anything and try and teleport it 1,000 miles that way.
All right.
Critical failure, 98.
The scar on your face aches a bit as you try to expand your mind to leave. And the Phoenix just fizzles.
All right, I don't know if that
Reload.
means...
Sorry. That's what's happening off to the side. Like, sorry, didn't mean it's just happening.
That was awesome.
All right.
Sorry.
I bet you the teleportation field, anti-teleportation field is still up anyway, I bet, probably.
+1. Okay, you're holding the rather limp form in your arms. Zdeno's creeped up towards the doors. He looks out.
Okay, now I put her over my shoulder. Gently. I knew I'd be doing this at some point. I go, come on, shooter. Let's see if we can keep our charge alive here.